All right, hello. Thanks for joining. It is December 8th, 2022. We're in ISSS Education, and we'll be looking at this meeting page, going wherever else we want to go. And also, as this is our last recorded meeting of 2022, we can look back at the previous several months, see what patterns or trends happened, and just how are we going to head into 2023, make things happen. Okay. Anything general that people want to bring up related to ISSS or systems or education? All right. We can look at this just sort of list of items that we carry forward. Just touch on them. If there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. Okay. University discussions, case studies, relationship with ISSS. There are programs out there. There's no single theory to point to. Would this look like something of a partnership with the ISSS? I have no specific thoughts on it. Okay. Ben
Well,
Wiki?
let me just put a comment in there that the the Australian National University and Rutgers and a group in Paris held a 2-day workshop on ethics and algorithms last week, and I was there for some of it. And the relationship between cybernetics and systems obviously brings itself to the fore. But just to note that the area of algorithms and ethics, I think, is a hot topic and almost demands a systems approach to the topic. And I think it's becoming increasingly urgent as our language and behavior is becoming conditioned by algorithms on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I'll put this link in the chat, but this paper came out about last week. This is the Versus Research Lab, which has recently acquired Carl Friston as their chief scientist, which is kind of a big move for a longtime academic. And it's right there in ecosystem. Right. And there's always been a natural bridge between ecology and more general systems thinking. And I think this as like a kind of position and roadmap paper for this group points towards distributed shared intelligence ecosystems, which is going to be a very amenable phrasing for systems in terms of composability and reducibility, emergent properties, all these things. Like, people are either going to reinvent the wheel or build upon the legacy of complex systems work. And to connect it just to what you said about cybernetics there.
Yeah, I think that's a helpful link. And what I was going to add, as you brought that up, and it just prompted my thinking on this, is that last Thursday, I met with Chris Laszlo and Alexander Laszlo. Alexander Laszlo is a former president of ISSS and very interested in systems leadership. And his brother is teaching a course on quantum leadership. And we talked about this topic and quantum leadership and the possibility of creating a course on online, well, in the College of Exploration, basically, my not-for-profit on this topic. And the challenge that we put to ourselves with the question of scale. I mean, he is running a course that maybe has 20 people in it. And what we've been discussing is how to do this at scale. And it's a tricky topic because in order to be effective, when you talk about ecology, very often ecologists do not take in the human period, the person. Ecosystems have, in many instances, not included humans. And so putting the person in the picture, as we say, PIP, is a crucial part of this, but you can only do it if you're allowing people to have an experience where they come to an understanding of systems, thinking, being, feeling, sensing. You can't do it through systems thinking only. And so systems thinking only doesn't do it. It has to be systems being, sensing, doing, feeling on a quantum level. So when you talk about in that other reference you gave, I think we need to put these things into into this particular box that you've got for university education.
Yeah. Well, to the point of scale, and it's something that has been brought up earlier, which is like relationships with teacher training programs. And that seems like a way to, rather than trying to scale to level 1 to the billions, create some educational process, something where people can come to the ISSS and go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on. I mean, that's what we did with ocean, and we did ocean literacy, and that's why I've been doing systems literacy with a view to, doing the same sort of thing. As you have to realize what you're setting out for teachers to learn about, and the relationship between systems literacy and the cross-cutting concepts of the next generation science standards, for example, is a target for teachers, because that's a need. I probably need to pay more attention to that, really.
Yes, various phrasings, all of which bring their own expectations and like introduce different barriers and structural aspects. But like whether it's an intensive or cohort-based experience or something, but to people who will be needing to be the teachers of systems literacy, they're going to need to bring the students to 30 miles per hour. We can have something like have the ISSS be a container or a facilitator of bringing people up to 60 miles an hour, and just say, this is going to be time efficient. We're going to be in the game, and you're going to be better able to coordinate systems literacy, which is, if not already part of your educational imperative, like should be or will be.
I actually have a question about this page. Would it be helpful to have like a more comprehensive list of university programs that are focused on systems? Like I know like Binghamton University, Portland State University, there are a few that I have bookmarked. So would it be helpful to like compile like a more comprehensive list of university programs? focused
Well,
on systems?
absolutely. I mean, I made a start on that, and you know, my principle on the website is that if you want to play a role in this, then I just give you login access to the page, and you go and put it up there. So I can go find your login information and give you permission to go into the education page on ISSS
Okay.
and just
Yeah, I'd love to help out with that.
and add them. I mean, that'd be great. Then I'm not the gatekeeper on all of this. I try and sort of distribute action to those that you know, express an interest. So I will figure out. I've got something somewhere. I don't know, is it under library? I've got 2 pages on education somewhere I created, I think. I don't know, where did I put education? No, it's not under 6. It would be there. There's one under, there you are. Go down about 5. There you go. Did I put it there? There you go.
Here
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah. So if you've got others,
Yeah.
put them in there.
Okay.
That would be great. I'll go and add you to the list. And
Okay, that sounds good.
We could develop it here and then just periodically copy and paste it over as a table.
well, you could do that too. Whatever works. I mean, I try and, you know, do things immediately and action orientation on these hour-long calls. I try and do things. So if you've got that list handy, right now, you know, you could most definitely, Shanghai, you could definitely put it in there.
Okay.
You know, as that would be fine. I mean, that's a good way of creating a database. So however, whatever makes sense, frankly. I mean, whatever you want to do, I don't mind, as long as it gets done. That's not too bureaucratic, you know.
And
I mean, it does raise the question as if it's sitting on an ISSS website, have we vetted it? Have we approved it? Do we think it's good? I mean, there's all kinds of issues about, you know, validity and another whole bag of worms.
yeah, it's one reason why sometimes just having it in this informal structure can just be like a little bit like lower cost. No one's going to see a work in progress. And then it could be interesting to have all their contacts.
Well, it's up to you, really.
Send around. Yeah. But I would I think this is a very, very valuable suggestion to compile this, and then at the very least to present it for those who are looking, but also to use that list as a resource and communicate and just say, like, you know, hey, we're the ISSS, we're not engaged with you, but we see many ways it could be. Carl?
Yeah, hi, Carl.
Hello, everyone. Yes. Apologies for being a little late.
No worries.
I'm a little long. Yeah, actually, I did invite Peter already. Tomorrow is the 54th anniversary of Doug Engelbart's demo regarding the capabilities of the Augmentation Research Center that he had founded at Sanford Research Institute. He showed the mouse and video conferencing and like 20 other things for the world, introduced them to the world. So anyway, tomorrow at 1, from 1 to 2, I've got a group I'm meeting with that's the title I came up with for my presentation is bootstrapping personal augmentation systems. So there's a lot of bandwidth, but I'm just figure out. I'm definitely inviting a few people from ISSS, some of the people I know from the DEI group and the dialogue group and things. So I had the one slide to show, which I had shown Daniel when I met before, but I said I've got like this convergence going on, so I feel like I just well, I really need to be able to apply GTD and just get a handle on all my things. One of I guess the main ask is like help with like what tool I should use for project management. Somebody had recommended LibreOffice, but I don't know if you've been working with anything, but I've got just a overwhelming amount of convergence going on. I got to figure out what the next thing to do is. So I'll leave it at that.
Thanks for update. LibreOffice is like a Linux clone of the Windows Office suite. It might have some project management software, but I don't think anything.
Yeah, they actually
advanced.
have a separate tool that they've been developing, which is like Microsoft Project. And in fact, they've got like they've just come out with a team. There's like a beta for a team version. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, let me see if I can find the link I was looking at earlier here again.
Yeah, it's a good software. Okay.
I'll post a link here to it just for reference.
Oh, great, thank you. Okay. Shingai, I moved everything into a page here. Anything that you want to add in or kind of just sort or chunk would be awesome.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. All right. FedWiki. So I haven't really done too much exploration in FedWiki, but I have one. Anybody want to add anything about that?
It's not ready for prime time, I think, is the answer to that question. It's too complex for the average person to, in my view.
Yeah, to the earlier scaling question, like the ethos and the deeper time stability of like the learn one, teach one approach.
Good.
It's very cool. It's very federated.
Yeah, no, it's lovely.
But
I
it's
like what they're doing.
Yeah, it's not it's different approach.
The interface is not easy to deal with. And I've taken the training several times and I'm still not entirely confident with running it. Maybe that's my own limitation.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that ISSS and ISSS, Laris, and I don't know if we've got this on the coda somewhere, has a wiki project going for ISSS at wiki.isss.org. I think we've talked about this, but it's obviously related to FedWiki.
Yeah.
In terms of sort of putting it under a wiki sense. So I think the to-do list for next year has to be, the role of wiki.isss.org for educational purposes. I don't know what that is, but
okay,
that's something there to think about, I think.
Yeah. The open sourceness and offlineness of this is excellent.
Yeah,
that being said, Gantt charts and these kinds of fields are trivially composable in Coda, and it has a huge number of affordances that are not going to be found in this type of application. So that is why I lean so heavily on Coda, actually.
Yeah,
because
I wanted to ask you about it because that's exactly what I was wondering, if Coda could be the tool that I use.
I just did Gantt, and you can spin up these, and all the fields are customizable. So it's not like,
wow.
oh, I wish there was, baseline was like this.
Can
It's
you
like,
do a critical path analysis on that?
like in terms of doing
Well,
in limited senses, yeah. I mean, if some extremely advanced strategizing would probably require also a bit more to be added, but if you just want to do this type of
okay.
yeah.
So 50 years ago, um, which is bizarre to even think about, was resource leveling on a project management piece, and it was it was called critical path method, and it was a way of examining your resources. I mean, I haven't looked at it for ever and a day, but I know it's a bit of a tangent, but I suppose it might be useful to sort of think about education project management, as it were.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it just, again, as we sort of review our year, like we got a lot out there. We brought a lot of people who have massive corpuses to share into the fold. We communicated at least one time with people who are active in systems, and like opened up a lot of aspects in principle.
Yeah.
And then when we really start being like, how are we going to do the project management, exactly like what Carl is referencing, then making really specific dashboards and being able to create differentially viewable dashboards for different people, like filter down to a date or just their tasks, those kinds of and integrate it with and automate. So just delete these guys. All right. Okay. Catching up on ISSS mini symposia. I've watched some of them. I didn't see this one. There's a few that I would love to catch up on, and I think also, like, in terms of services that we could provide for ISSS, making sure, like, coordinating with people who are scheduled for mini symposiums, and then like asking, like, how could we leverage the educational impact of what you want to share? Do you want people to have viewed something previously? Do you want the transcript of the event to be published with a DOI? Do you want us to schedule follow-ups of a certain type? Do you want introductions with the recording brought to somebody else? Like, those kinds of like operational educational support processes, I think we could do a lot on, and archival being kind of one special subset, and then events being another subset, just so that they could prepare for their special day and focus, and we can treat those events as being of a common kind, and have a lot of like pretty clearly defined, pretty small but high value ways that someone can feel like the ISSS is like catalyzing their work in communication. But because it's like people who take the initiative, like to schedule such series and to present and to join such events. So there's a lot of like organic enthusiasm to do this, and then when we can help build continuity and also be publishing transcripts and so on. Okay. Regarding Carl, hand raised.
yeah, kind of from before, but yeah, yeah, this is, I really like the direction going here. And as I said, it's figuring out how to manage my bandwidth so I can contribute more effectively.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, yeah, agreed. Okay, here is related to George's textbook and some discussions that we had around ways to get the material out there in a way that was just at the intersection of people's interest and times and like legal availability of the material and all of this. He was especially emphatic about people reading chapters 3 and 4, as Shingai and I are doing, because like ontology comes up a lot, and chapters 3 and 4 present his perspective on ontology of of by and for systems, which in the meso to long range has implications for also how we organize disciplines. In the shorter range, the tag-based systems are going to be quicker start, easier to integrate with other existing work. Like it's easier just to say this paper mentions cybernetics and this paper mentions aspirin than to do like a full like aspirin as a system. That's like another level of something that sounds very interesting when we have more tools and scaffolding around it. So, but it's not only good to keep on the horizon, but it's important material to disseminate. So maybe in the beginning of 23, Shingai, let's check back in with George and just see how he feels. You know, just say, what in this year, what do you want to do, if anything, on this front?
Yep, that sounds great.
And then we could when we probably will have a reconnecting in the beginning of 23 in education, and then probably by the end of January with a written and with a short video form, communicate again to the broader people who've expressed interest, as well as potentially just all ISSS members, and just say like, here are 4 specific things that we're doing. Here's 4, or there's the wild card if you want to come and see what happens or start something different. But like, do you want to contribute to systems education in 2023? If you have 1 hour per month, there will be a role for you. If you have 1 hour per day, we will also be able to find a role for you. Okay. Touching to the knowledge engineering side, the knowledge management, Peter, maybe you have more to add on that.
Well, I'm trying to coordinate it now with the American Society for Cybernetics, who I'm leading their working group on archives. So that's where my head's been for the last few days. Is like, how do we bring both the cybernetics and the systems things together, and also what role does the chatbot play in all of this? Certainly thinking about interface to it all as a starting point really is like the purpose and how people would come to it I think it should be innovative and should represent the actual interaction should represent, you know, that which we're talking about. So I would love for anybody to be able to turn up and have a conversation with the archives. So in a sense, it's how do you develop a conversational interface to the systems archives we have and the cybernetics archives that exist?
Yes, several people requested access to CODAs. I kind of followed up with them, and one or few
Good. Yeah.
Adler,
Yeah,
someone with that.
Adler. Yeah, that's
Yes.
another question. Adler and Paul Pangaro, and Rue Shaman, in particular. I was having a conversation. Well, Adler, or no, what's his name? Just blanked out on it. Anyway, he sent out a note about the chat box, and I said, "Oh, we talked about that earlier," and I sent out the link to the coda, and I didn't realize it was password protected. So if they found you and asked for it, that's great. But I mean, you know, in the spirit of collaboration between ISSS and the American Society for Cybernetics, I think trying to leverage both of our interests and expertises is a good strategy, at least in my view.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also just like the kind of loop closure with Paul Pangaro and with Dave Douglas, my colleague who I work on the Active Inference Institute transcriptions and everything.
Right.
And like the where we're currently just for a given live stream, so this could be analogous to a symposium, we can have all of the pieces of information and the audiovisual archiving, and then the transcripts and the captioning in different languages. And we have the utilities now to use OpenAI's pipeline to rapidly render captions and prose. So then we could develop that and use that on the backlog and on ongoing systems and cybernetics events connected to a term analysis script. And then, yes.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, I think even on the front end here, just thinking as you talked, one of the things that I try and do when I think it's worthwhile to do or I have time to do is I've taken the position that the seminars that ISSS organized, the recordings are available only to ISSS members because of the conversations that occur after the presentation, and we haven't asked everybody whether or not they're okay with it being public. I'm making an assumption very often that the presenters are okay with it being public, and indeed many of them ask me to do that, and so I create a second version and call it the public, you know, recent presentations, and on the front of ISSS is a link to recent presentations, which is just the presentation angle, but there's also presentations that are being, or seminars that are being made by Metaforum, which I put on YouTube. And then there are ASC webinars as well. So even with 3 organizations I'm involved in, there are 3 sets of ongoing webinars of one sort or another. And I have been thinking about just crudely how we even create a spreadsheet with the record and the content. So I don't know if that's something that would be appropriate for Coda, if we could do something like that, and it would be easy to work on. And that's something that maybe, you know, folks on this call and anybody else interested could help do, because we've got, you know, several hundred now from ISSS, and they're all on the pages, but they're not indexed in a record. So indexing, I don't know if that's the word, but producing an index would be could be very helpful about topics. And then, you know, at some point when you were talking about script, you know, it might be easier to work with what we have in terms of the transcripts and so on, and working on a way to provide an interface to them. I think that would be very interesting.
Here's on the Coda backend. So here's all of the live streams. And then we have the links and the DOIs, and then here on the front end, this is just a non-editable site, but it's interactable.
So who creates this? Is that you, or who's doing it?
Primarily me.
Oh, okay. So maybe you and I need to have a separate conversation
Uh,
about how we could do this for ISSS to start with.
Yeah.
You know,
We
and I don't
we
know if
totally
Shanghai or
can.
Carl is. Well, Carl says he's like got convergence challenges. So I don't know, Shanghai, if you're, to what level of interest you have in helping us produce this kind of index?
Very interested. Would love to help out.
Okay, because I mean, we can take different segments, of the pages, like, I18 is the 2018 to 2019, and there's the last two online conferences where I put a lot of material together, and so that would be helpful. I think even, so that would, maybe I'll try and think of where maybe you could help me set up an index system like you've got there, for your Active Inference Institute.
Yep.
And that could be definitely a task to do in 2023. I think would be really helpful.
Yep. Okay. We'll come back to these 23 tasks. Okay. And then final on this table, anything regarding Lens videos?
No, not
Okay.
at the
I think I'm just going to move. I think I'm going to remove this one from weekly consideration.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. So those are a few of the threads. Now let's in our last 20 minutes, think about what is reasonable to do in the next, week. Small amount, hopefully just chilling, landing the plane, having a healthy holiday, etc.
I
But
think that's about right. Yeah.
but when we rejoin in 23, we'll want to provide previously engaged people with updates that excite them about the momentum and directions, and also specific actionable information for people who have not been engaged yet. Perhaps we can choose a subset of projects to elevate to active project, at which point we can say, to be an active project, it has to have criteria 1, 2, 3. That should be 1 or 2 people who are going to commit to facilitate or steward it. It must complete this minimal catechism summary, just what is the mission, what is it going to happen, what are the milestones, and so on. Some thresholding event, so that we can continue to have this broader view, and just treat these as seeds, and hope that somebody does recognize something exciting in them. But just to balance our own commitments, pick the few angles across education and knowledge engineering. And I had this up because that was Rob's presentation previously, which some of us may have seen, on the systems community repository. And that was a very interesting presentation. It seems like some of the indexing, the archiving, indexing, and publishing, we may treat as a primary objective in the knowledge engineering side.
Mm-hmm.
And then treating that kind of information as an enabling system
Mm-hmm.
in education. Ask what can we do with it?
Mm-hmm.
How can we link it into curriculum? How could it be used to develop educational experiences, solitary or chatbot related or group related.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. As to the role of the wiki, what do you see happening there, Peter?
Well, I mean, we started with people. So people are important, but I honestly, it's there. It was sort of ISSS expressed a desire to create a wiki. I'm going to send out an invitation, see if anybody's interested in getting an account to the membership, and then members can get an account to access it and add things to it. I'm be interested in hearing any ideas from you or Shanghai or Carl on how or what might be asked for that would be helpful.
Yeah, that yeah, Giannis and Peter and I had met where Giannis gave us a overview of it. The one thing is when you're created, you need to make sure name's spelled correctly, because he went so fast. So I'm gonna have him just delete that one or create a accurate one and then delete that one. But yeah, that's definitely a impressive site. There's obviously the connection into like the dialogue group. I mean, there's that SIG there. So how his structured dialogic design, I think, fits in, and I think, well, one of the roles is kind of figuring out a curriculum for the systems literacy, and I think one of the standard things for higher education seems to be 12 credit hours. So kind of a certificate program that various universities could provide and stuff. We could kind of co-evolve that, actually, is the term that Doug Engelbart would use and stuff. But that's all. Yeah, as I said, some great, I'll mine this for some high level ideas for my presentation tomorrow.
Yeah, which brings up another topic. Based on conversations I had at the weekend and my experience with the systems engineers, the organization ISO, International Standards Organization, creates standards, and the systems engineering group have their 52788 or something. And I was talking with people this weekend who are in the maritime arena in relation to my work on ocean literacy. And so I would be interested if there's others who are interested in exploring creating an ad hoc group for the establishment of a standard of systems literacy that would be ratified in the ISO, along the lines of, if you might be more familiar with ISO 9001, which is a quality standard. I don't know if that has any resonance or interest of anybody here, for example. I know that's a new topic.
What I've been trying to do outside of work wasn't enough. I work at the U.S. General Services Administration, so we're pretty much involved in everything and stuff. So that's one of the things. I feel like my doctoral research, I almost have to be in my university cocoon, because everything's a potential conflict of interest, and what's official time type of thing. But yeah, there's so many touch points. I mean, I was involved in a standards process before. So I mean, the government's role, the federal government's role in like that, it's NIST and GSA are pretty much the lead organizations on a lot of stuff and stuff. So we have to figure out how can I mean, trying to figure out how I can be contributing, even if there's some little piece that's actually could be part of my official duties, then I could actually be devoting work hours to some kind of project too. So it's
that's
figuring that out.
I mean, it looks like in 1997, GSA got awarded an ISO 9000 to the property management team. Anyway, that'd be interesting.
As I said, I joke that we're a quasi-private government agency because we actually provide services to other agencies.
Yeah.
Fee for service. So we actually have kind of an entrepreneurial spirit to us. Plus amazing work in green buildings. I mean, all the sustainability stuff. I mean, we're at the forefront of so many things. It's literally overwhelming.
Yeah, I know. We, at one point, a small business I had was on the GSA schedule, which is a whole nother ball of wax, but never did anything for us. But that's another story. But I mean, I do think if anybody's interested in the ISO angle, I'd be intrigued, because once you've set the standard, then you can offer courses to meet the standard and get a certification. So I mean, like ISSS, you know, if we were involved in creating the standard, that would be really fascinating, kind of.
And along those lines, a certification kind of program. I guess you kind of have like the Project Management Institute with the PMP,
kind
of thing that could potentially be
avenue. But if you did it to an ISO standard, then you really have got to, you know, if there's if any of you are interested in talking to me about that, I'd be interested in that conversation for next year.
All right, here are some kind of thoughts and structure. Since education and knowledge engineering, I really like keeping the codas and the conversations, like of course it's the two-stroke engine because they're enabling systems for each other, but you know, it's good we don't have a fusion meeting in coda. But in knowledge engineering, it seems like one effort is around ISSS and cousins indexing, archiving, publishing, accessibility, digitization. Okay, so as this is like a multi-year arc, I think even to focus in 23 on the knowledge engineering front on digitization and processing our 100-year backlog, it is more than ample. And then exploring different front ends and representation strategies like MediaWiki and otherwise. But basically, this is the stuff that's that the bed bugs are eating. So we should, okay. So I think that brings a lot of clarity to knowledge engineering. So our primary focus is going to be digitization and archiving, and the associated information structures, and then a secondary focus will be like presentation structures. But better to get every file secured, but you have to look at an FTP server rather than, you know, make some shiny app that somebody else is going to do. All right. Then in education, in terms of internal ISSS services, I would really like to communicate to every SIG, if not member, and ask what we could do for them. Because even by opening that engagement, they have to bring they have to, and they would bring much to the table. Like if somebody has a large, we could provide several examples. Like, do you have a corpus of materials that you would like digitally archive? Do you have a work that you think hasn't received recognition and you would like to present it in a different format? Are you a SIG with working documents and you would like to see them included in educational curriculum or research archives? So basically just have our education group at the very least find out what educational services SIG and ISSS members want. Then, thinking slightly more externally in education, I think we have a few directions which we can explore in the early months of 23, such as once we've compiled the universities with systems direct programs, those are one set of groups to certainly reach out to, if not kind of adjacencies. And then in the longer 1 year on the lower end, reaching a little bit beyond a year, some kind of dual evolution between standards for education and implementations of educational programs compatible with those standards. For example, to the earlier points made about like the experiential aspects, it could be part of the standard for systems education that it contains some enacted components. And then an educational course could be easily adopted by a university partner by virtue of its compatibility with a given standard of excellence.
Okay.
Which would be a totally refreshing and positive direction, other than the appeal to consultant price strategy of systems engineering.
Yep.
What did you like about this, Carl?
Oh, I mean, this is interesting. It's one of the things I'm looking at is really like my going back to basics and how I'm spending my time. And this framework, it's like you spend the first 90 minutes of like spending the first 90 minutes of your day for 90 days on one core project. So in some ways we're kind of doing some of that. The mini symposiums kind of fit that model where we're engaging for 90 minutes at a time. I was applying Bill's appreciation, influence, and control thing to this, so that, so can we get to like the control, implementate. So can we find a group that's we're making a commitment to 90 minutes to work together on a project.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Carl. I like to come to these meetings and actually do something. I mean, or any meetings these days, I like to try and feel like I've actually done something rather than. And I mean, I'm not saying we're not doing anything by recording all of this, but something that actually, even if it's sort of a part of the meeting, you incrementally, update a web page or make something available to someone, or, so if we could try and crank that in. And I think if we had 90-minute sessions, but I'm not prepared. I don't think I can be prepared next year to do it every week like I have done this year.
Yeah, agreed. But this certainly is like a it's a benchmark of commitment, and it's the if you have that many minutes per week, then it's the right way to do it. And maybe our dream would be like we have at least one person who's 90-91 on any given effort.
Right.
That would be like an incredible organization that would have that kind of bandwidth.
Right. And then you're by design, we're really generating like formal 90-day goals.
Yeah.
I love it. It's good.
Yeah. It also made me think whether in 3 times 90 in the as per AIC, or 4 times 90 for a year with the UDA or something like that. Like, first we're going to appreciate the breadth of systems scholarship. Then we're going to, now in the next stage, we're going to do this with but we're not going to go back to the first stage. And like that, I mean, just throw it out there. All right. Well,
yeah, this could actually tie in intriguing with like Bill's whole mapping and stuff, because I'm like a pure control at the appreciative level. and stuff, so it's like, I think, which is part of the problem, because I'm actually trying, but yeah, I mean, I have ideas for my post-government ideas. I have ideas for workshops where people would act. The maps would be a core part of it, and then it's like, yeah, I have some ideas I had developed a while ago that have been on a back burner, but basically people would map what they're doing kind of to that. So I mean, I see AIC at the A level is like just, it's like a way of being, and thing like mindfulness, and that you're just in that space. The influence level is about the facilitating workshops, so it's the outcome is for people to get that lived experience of being AIC. And then at the control level, since I met Bill 20 years ago, it's about there's almost like this intuitive sense of recognizing AIC relationships. So I've been generating 3 and 9 component systems, even dabbling with the 27 one. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities there. I don't know if you know Dan Pasut, Peter, or any, but he's worked with Bill previously, and there's I talked with him about some ideas for a health literacy. I've got a lot of the research that's almost like a thread of research I've stumbled into in my doctoral thing, but
okay. Well, I thank you. I need to go. So thank you.
Thank you. Till next week, and thanks for everyone. Education 22.
Wonderful. Well done, Daniel. Everybody. Thank you.
Farewell. Bye.
Bye.